And speaking of strategic patience, I want to talk about strategic thinking, because I know early on in the book you talk about just the real reason why we're all so busy. And I wanted to build the case for the importance of strategic thinking, right? So to being able to focus on long-term priorities, because you mentioned that it's senior leaders at organizations, this is them saying that the more time I spend on this, the more successful our organization will be. And yet those same people are also saying they don't have enough time to do any long-term strategic thinking.
Yeah, it is absolutely a central irony that, as I was writing The Long Game, this book about strategic thinking, I realized, of course, it's not that there are people out there who actively hate strategic thinking. It's not like there's kind of an anti-strategic thinking constituency. Pretty much everyone agrees that, oh yeah, this is a beneficial thing. But the problem is not that people don't like it. The problem is that nobody does it because they're so busy, they're so rushed. And I really wanted to try to dig in and understand, all right, like what are the obstacles? Why is this the case? Why is it so hard to actualize this thing that everybody seems to claim is so useful and so important? So really digging into that was one of my goals, so that I could understand the mechanisms that are blocking us.
And what would you say? I mean, what are some of those reasons? Like, I imagine there's, one of the things you discuss is it's busyness is a way of increasing our social status, right? Saying that I'm busy and, as a result, I must be important, or potentially a distraction from asking ourselves uncomfortable questions of like really dealing with, well, how do I want to be spending my time and what do I want to be doing? Like, are those some of the reasons, or are there others too?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a myriad of reasons, as you can imagine. And I actually, back in the fall, I gave a TEDx talk at TEDx Boston, specifically about this question. I called it the real reason we're so busy and what to do about it. Because oftentimes our intentions are a little bit masked. We consciously can identify things, and I mean, this is not wrong, that, oh, we have so many emails, oh, we have so many meetings. Well, of course, yes, that is true. But also, there are oftentimes some emotional reasons that are overlaid on it that make it harder, that make it more complicated. One of them that you mentioned is a status question that for many of us, we, culturally, or perhaps how we've been brought up, we view busyness as a form of status. Like, oh, I must be important. I must be essential to this enterprise if I am wall to wall with everything. Sometimes it's frankly a form of avoidance, because if you are so busy executing, you don't really have time to ask yourself big questions, which frankly may be uncomfortable. Like, am I at the right firm? Am I focusing on the right things? If X is my goal in 5 years, are the things I'm doing today going to bring me closer to that or not? Those can be things that we don't know the answer to, and that can be a little confronting. Or maybe we kind of do know the answer to it and we just don't want to face it. And so just leaning into the minute day-to-day hurly-burly of busyness is oftentimes it's kind of a trick we pull on ourselves.
Yeah. And you mentioned the first step, or a place to start at least, is creating white space. Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So, in a literal sense, I mean, where the term comes from is, you think about your calendar, right? For many of us, if we look at our calendar, whether it's on our phones or our computers, it is just this wash of, blue ink or, green or whatever your color is. But it's just, oh, well, I have a 9 o'clock, I have a 10 o'clock, I have an 11:15, I have a 12:30, and you're so back to back, you barely have time to go to the bathroom, much less, be strategic. So having white space, having unscheduled, unstructured time is really important. I mean, first of all, it's important in a practical sense, because we all know, of course, emergencies come up. All of a sudden, maybe it's, oh my God, the client needs the blah, 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 or, we didn't expect this to happen. And there's something that you need to hop to because it is critical. And, maybe it's not even anything that profound. On Friday, my neighbor's bathroom somehow erupted into my ceiling. And so I somehow had to fish out about 5 hours of time on Friday to deal with flooding. That was not fun and that was not cool, but it really for sure needed to happen. So having white space enables us to be a little bit more flexible so that when there is an emergency, you actually can attend to it without it causing, its own sort of subsidiary crashes in your own schedule. But above and beyond that, it's the unstructured time, the white space, that enables us oftentimes to get the distance from what we're doing so that we can make connections and have the ability to get into the headspace so that we actually can do strategic thinking.